we talk about Donald Trump's first bankruptcy. Now, if you don't know, he's had 6. Now, I actually didn't know until recently. I thought he had 4, but PolitiFact checked into it. He's actually bankrupted 6 different companies.
The Apprentice is not like other reality shows. Contestants don't compete for money, they compete for a job in the Trump Organization. This means the producers must make working for Donald Trump everyone's dream job. They need to build his brand as a successful and intelligent leader. This is exactly how he introduces himself in the very first episode.
My name's Donald Trump, and I'm the largest real estate developer in New York.
It's 2004, and Donald Trump is not the largest real estate developer in New York. But in the world of reality TV, he can be anything.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
In New York City in the late 80s and early 90s, the case of the Central Park jogger was notorious. In April of 1989, a white woman who had been jogging was found brutally raped and beaten nearly to death in Central Park. Not long after the woman was discovered, 4 black teenagers, 1 Latino teenager were charged and jailed for the crime. The gruesome case whipped up an unbelievable hysteria throughout the city, the media ginning up fears with headlines about wolf packs and roving gangs and wilding. But the 5 boys, ages 14 to 16, had falsely confessed to the crime after hours of police interrogations. They were later tried, convicted, and sentenced to prison. But vindication for the group, known as the Central Park 5, came in 2002, when a convicted murderer and rapist confessed to the crime. And that confession was then corroborated by DNA. The prison sentences of the Central Park 5 were overturned, but by that time they had already served between 5 and 13 years. In 2014, the men were awarded a $40 million settlement from New York City. The story that had gripped the city for years came to a close, and yet one Manhattan resident's obsession with the case continues to this day. Just weeks after the crime was committed in 1989, Donald Trump took out a full-page ad in 4 New York newspapers advocating the return of the death penalty. And when the city awarded the men a settlement in 2014, Trump wrote an editorial in the Daily News calling the settlement a disgrace. And now, even now, as the presidential nominee for the Republican Party, Trump hasn't allowed science or evidence to change his initial reaction to the case. Just this week, Trump said he still considers the men, again, exonerated by the criminal justice system and by DNA scientific evidence, guilty.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
I'm going to tell you what I really think of Donald Trump. This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. He lies practically every word that comes out of his mouth. And in a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook. His response is to accuse everybody else of lying. He accuses everybody on that debate stage of lying. And it's simply a mindless yell. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing. The man cannot tell the truth, but he combines it with being a narcissist. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen. Listen, Donald Trump is a serial philanderer, and he boasts about it. This is not a secret. He's proud of being a serial philanderer. I want everyone to think about your teenage kids. The President of the United States talks about how great it is to commit adultery, how proud he is. Describes his battles with venereal disease as his own personal Vietnam.
I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy. I think what you like about him, he appears to be strong when the rest of us are weak. He's a very successful businessman, and he's going to make everything great. He's going to take all the problems of the world and put them in a box and make your life better. That's what he's selling. Here's what you're buying. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for.
If anyone spoke to my wife or my daughter or my mother or any of my 5 sisters
the way Mr. Trump has spoken to women. I wouldn't hire that person. I wouldn't hire that person, wouldn't want to be associated with that person. And I certainly don't think I'd feel comfortable hiring that person to be the leader of the free world.
Donald Trump has been perhaps the most vulgar, no, I don't think perhaps, the most vulgar person to ever aspire to the presidency in terms of how he's carried out his candidacy. There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
It's not even a surprise. Republicans come running back to Trump, those who once were critical of him. So very few have stayed steadfast in opposing him. But, congressional endorsements sometimes matter, and a whole bunch of them have come out for Trump in recent days, including these two who once opposed him. What do you make of these, the timing of these endorsements? What kind of message does it send, but really what does it tell us about the party?
Yeah, a few things. I mean, I don't think congressional endorsements themselves matter that much. What they tell you, though, is that these are politicians who do polls in their states or their districts, and they see what I think all of us are seeing, that this is Donald Trump's party still, and there's no real use in fighting it.
We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it.
Bullshit.
If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
I imagine you have some thoughts about your fellow House colleagues who have been trekking up to New York City to stand outside of the courtroom and weigh in on this trial.
I have so many thoughts, and let me start with the Speaker, because I have to say I was flabbergasted that he would go and make that pilgrimage, stand outside that courthouse, and basically lie about what was going on inside the building. It's bad enough that he lacks the self-respect that he feels he needs to go and kiss the ring in such a public and debasing way, but also for him to denigrate the justice system, for him to knowingly make the false claim that this trial was designed to keep Trump off the campaign trail. He knows better than that, but it shows, the most powerful, top-ranking Republican in the Congress, will do anything for Donald Trump.
But I do think your point in the introduction is the key one here, which is the tearing down of institutions. And when I think about this week, I think that you have to look at what Donald Trump says about the criminal justice system, about law enforcement, and you can see a direct line to the sort of mini-me people showing up at the courthouse, to Justice Alito with flying a flag upside down and saying in the Supreme Court that the reason presidents should not be criminally charged because you really can't trust the criminal justice system or the Department of Justice. To me, this is the through line of an enormous strain of anti-law enforcement, anti-institutionalism that goes from the Supreme Court to Donald Trump and through a swath of Congress as well.
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin.
To destroy America and to destroy the American dream. The real threat.
Arbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe.